Hello students, from your book Flamingo, this is second poem, An Elementary School Classroom in Slum. Its writer is Stephen Spender. Let's see about this poet. Stephen Spender was born in 1909 and in 1995 he died. He was an English poet, means he was from England. He was an essayist. One interesting thing about him that he left Oxford University College without taking a degree. He didn't complete his graduation and he left to Berlin in 1930. Berlin is in Germany, and that time Germany was under fascist and socialist people. He took a keen interest in politics. He declared himself to be socialist and pacifist. He wrote many works, and from his works, some of them are poems of dedication, the age of being, the creative element, the struggle of the modern, and an autobiography, word within word. This poem, this elementary school classroom in Islam, this in this poem he concentrated on the themes of social injustice and class inequalities, and this specific poem was written by him in 1960. Let's see his first stanza, and before starting the first stanza I would say, if you haven't yet subscribed my channel, please subscribe it, and if you are liking the video, please hit the like button. Let's start his first stanza. Far from gusty waves, these children's faces. The poet here describes an elementary school classroom in a slum. This slum area is in a big city like Delhi and Mumbai, such a big city, and in that big city there is a slum. And slum, you know very well, in India also there is a dedicated movie on slums, Slumdog Millionaire. So what is the condition of the slums and what is the condition of the schools in slum areas? The poet is describing the situation, the conditions there. These slum children look very pathetic. They are very far from the gusty waves. Their faces are pale and reflect sadness. Like rootless weeds. Rootless weeds means those weeds which doesn't have strong roots, and those are unwanted as they lack proper nutrition. Moreover, they are unwanted plants which grow on their own without being cared for and totally neglected. Their hair are torn round their pallor, their faces are dirty, they do not take bath daily. The tall girl with her weed head down, tall girl who was sitting in the classroom, her head is down because she is burdened with the load of poverty. In fact, she is subdued and suppressed, that her head had been bowed down with the burden of her misfortunes. The paper seeming boy with red eyes. Paper seeming has been used here for extremely thin boy who has red eyes. Red means because he is very poor, he is very hungry, he is undernourished, and he is deprived of all the basic amenities of life. He has hunger in his eyes, he is timid like a rat, he is full of anxiety, He searches for food and security. The stunted unlucky hare. Stunt means when we cut a plant. So the stem, which is just 1 or 3 inch from the ground, that is called stunt. When the stem is cut, then it becomes stunt and it doesn't grow. Its growth is prevented. So the growth of this unlucky hare from his parents, his growth is also prevented. His parents are of twisted bones. Twisted bones means they are they do not have a proper structure of their बॉडी एंड हिंदी में कहें तो वो विकलांग हैं. अभी जो भाषा यूज की जाती है उसमें उन्हें दिव्यांग कहा जाता है. रिसाइडिंग ए फादर्स नाल डिजीज. हिज फादर इज ऑल्सो ट्विस्टेड बोन्स and he is also inherited his father's legacy. His lesson from his desk. He is reading from his lesson. He is reading his lesson from his desk. He is the only one who has some attention towards his lesson. At the back of the dim class, at the end of the class, at the back benches, one unnoted sweet young boy who is very sweet, but the teacher is not noticing him. His eyes live in a dream of a squirrel's game in tree room. Other than this, he is not paying attention towards his lesson. He is watching outside of the window, and outside of window there is a squirrel who is climbing up and down on a tree, and he is entering in his home in the tree. So the boy is watching the squirrel's game. So from this first stanza we have taken some questions, and now I will tell that the first stanza is specifically describing the students who are present in this class, and in this first stanza the poet is describing the condition, measurable condition of the students who are present in the class. First boy who is very thin, the tall girl, he has burden of the poverty, and the paper seeming boy who is very thin, he has rat size, and the boy with twisted bones, and at last a boy who is very cute but is not paying attention towards his lesson, and he is looking outside. So first question, where do you think are these children sitting? These children are sitting in the school classroom in a slum which is far away from the winds or waves blowing strongly. How do the faces and hairs of the children look? The faces of the children look pale. Their uncombed and unkempt hair look like rootless wild plants. Why is the head of the tall girl weighed down? The head of the tall girl is weighed down by the burdens of the world. She feels depressed, ill, and exhausted. Fourth question, what do you understand by the paper seeming boy with rat eyes? It means the boy is exceptionally thin, weak, and hungry. Question number 5, who is the unlucky here and what will he inherit? The lean and thin boy having rat eyes and stunted growth is unlucky here. He'll inherit twisted bonds from his father. Next question. What is the stunted boy reciting? He is reciting a lesson from his desk. He is enumerating systematically how his father developed the naughty disease. Who is sitting at the back of the dim class? A sweet young boy sits at the back of the dim class. He sits there unnoticed. His eyes live in a dream. What dream does he have? The boy seems hopeful. He dreams of a better time, outdoor games, of a squirrel's game, of a room made inside the stem of a tree. He dreams of many things. Other than this, the stem and unpleasant classroom, has such as green fields, open seas. Now we are moving to second stanza, and in the second stanza, especially the poet describes the walls of the school. The poet describes the miserable condition of the school classroom. In the first stanza, he described the miserable condition of the students who are studying in that school classroom. Now, he is telling about the classroom walls, especially the classroom. On sour cream walls, donations. Sour cream walls means they are cream in color, like the color of sour cream. This means the wall are not clean. They have not been painted recently. The walls are covered with different shards. Donations means they have some charts and images that must have been donated by different people, and from them one is Shakespeare's head, means a image, picture of Shakespeare. There is a picture of Shakespeare on the wall. His head, which is walled, looks like the rising sun at the horizon, cloudless at dawn. Civilized dome riding all cities. There is also a picture of sun rising. At the time of daybreak, the sun is rising at the horizon and is semicircular, like a dome shape. Semicircular, civilized dome means a dome shaped structure, and in this structure, the sun rising is happening and it is riding all cities. This is covering all the cities. There are another pictures: Ballet Flowery, Torlis Valley, and all these pictures, Shakespeare's head and civilized dome and this Trolleys Valley. Students see these pictures, but they do not know anything about these pictures. There is open-handed map. Avoiding the word, its word, means this map, which helps all in its own way, but for the children the map of the world is irrelevant, because the slum where they live is different from what is shown in the map. Yet for these children, these window not this map their world, because they do not know anything about this world, this map. Their world is their slum, the slum which is outside the windows of the school, where their future is painted with a fog. All the dirt, all the garbage is lying in the slums, and their future, their present and future, both are painted with fog, dirt, narrow streets sealed in with a lead sky. Their future is full of darkness. Their future is compared to a narrow street, which means that there is no wide scope available for future growth. The children are far away from the radiant light of knowledge and education. far far from rivers, caves and stars of world. Means they are very far from rivers. Teacher teaches these things in education, rivers, caves and stars, words. But these students know nothing about them. These are some vocabs. Let's see some questions from this stanza, second stanza. What is the color of the classroom walls? The color of the classroom walls is sour cream or off-white. What does this color suggest? This color suggests the decaying aspect and pathetic condition of lives of the children in a slum school. What do these classroom walls have? The walls of the classroom have pictures of Shakespeare, building with domes, word maps and beautiful valleys. This question is a little long. Which two words does the poet hint at? How is the contrast between the two words presented? In this chapter, two words have been presented. First word is the word of poverty, misery, malnutrition of the slums where children are undeferred, weak and have stunted growth. This is first word. The second word is of progress, prosperity, people by the rich and powerful. Pictures on the wall suggesting happiness, richness, well-being and beauty are in stark contrast to the dim and dull slums. Next question, fourth, and open-handed map. Explain. Open-handed map suggests the map of the world drawn at will by powerful people, dictators like Hitler. Second question in this question is awarding the word its word. Awarding the word its word suggests how the conquerors, the dictators award and divide the word according to their whims. The word is the word of the rich and important people. बताता है कि किस प्रकार से विजेता लोग इस जीते हुए संसार को अपने हिसाब से विभाजित कर लेते हैं. फिफ्थ क्वेश्चन, what are the children here refers to? तो children are referred to here who study in an elementary school classroom. Which is their word? Their word is limited to the windows of the classroom. They are confined only within the narrow streets of the slum, means far away from the open sky and rivers. Their view is full of despair and despondency. The life of the children seems to be bleak. Seventh question, what is how is their life different from that of the other children? Means how is the life of the slum children is different from the children of the rich people? The slum children spend their life only in narrow street of the land. They do not get basic necessities of life. They are deprived of food, clothing and shelter. But the main thing that they differ from other children is freedom. They do not enjoy the freedom of life, freedom of speech, freedom of education. What is the future of these children? The future of these children is uncertain and bleak. Now let's move to third stanza, and before this I would again say please subscribe this channel. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. The map a bad example. Poet here says that these children living in slum area have faced so many hardships that they feel every other person to be their enemy. For them Shakespeare is an evil man. Shakespeare is wicked, evil person. The map a bad example. They do not find the map to be a good thing. They were never liked or loved by anyone. Therefore they hate almost everyone. With ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. Their desire of being loved by others forces them to steal. They live in small homes. For lives that slightly turn in their cramped holes. Cramped holes means small homes. They lived in very small homes. From fog to endless nights. Their present is fog and their future will be endless nights, means death. On their slag heap, dirty place, these children wear skins peep through by bones, means their skin is so thin they do not have any flesh on their skin, inside their skin, and their bones can be seen easily from their skins, and spectacles of steel with mended glass like the bottle bits on stones. Their skin is like the thin layer of clothes and the bones beneath are visible through the skin. These kids suffer from malnutrition. They wear spectacles which are made of steel. They are cheap and very uncomfortable. Even the lenses in the spectacles are repaired. The spectacles look like stones which have been repaired with the pieces of glass sticking out of them. Here poet tries to explain that these kids have to face so many hardships in their lives as the slums are getting bigger. They will destroy the future of these children. It is very difficult for such kids to escape from them. All of their time and space are foggy slum. They do not know anything about the outer world. Whatever they know, that is only the slum. The blot their maps. So blot their maps with slums as big as Doom. The maps which are hung in the classroom and the big cities, on those big beautiful cities, those slums are and will be like plots, and these plots will become bigger and bigger day by day, because there is no basic amenities for these children, and their life will be more pathetic in future days. विक्ट मीन्स बुरा, टेम्प्ट मीन्स ललचाना, स्लेली चतुराई से, क्रैम्प्ट सकरे, स्लैक कमज़ोर, मैंडेड मरम्मत किए हुए, ब्लॉट चिन्हित करना, एंड डूम मीन्स प्रलय. Questions from third stanza. Who are them refers to in the first line. Them here refers to the children studying in a slum school. What tempts them? All beautiful things like ships, sun, love tempts them. Third question. What does the poet say about their lives? The poet says that the children spend their lives confined in their cramped holes like rodents. Their bodies look like skeletons because they are the victims of malnutrition. Their steel frame spectacles with repaired glasses make them appear like the broken pieces of a bottle scattered on stones. Their future seems to be bleak. Explain from fog to endless nights. Their future is foggy and uncertain. The only certainty in their lives is the endless night of their death. In other words, their birth, life, and death are all enveloped by darkness. Fifth question. What are two images used to describe the slums? I have written here 4 images: slag heap, foggy slums, bottle bits on stones, slums as big as Doom. What sort of life do such children lead? In the dirty and unhygienic surroundings, the slum children lead very pathetic and miserable lives. Answer is very pathetic and miserable lives full of woes, wants, diseases, poverty, and uncertainty. What blot their maps? Whose map? Whose map means the map is of rich people. And blot these living hells. These dirty slums blot their maps. These are maps of civilized world, the world of the rich and great. What does the poet convey through so blot their maps with slum as big as doom? Answer is the poet conveys his protest against social injustice and class inequalities. He wants the islands of prosperity to be flooded with the dirt, the stink of the slums. Now, at last, the fourth stanza, unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. Poet says that the government should take notice of the problem being faced by these kids. He argues them to change the life of these kids and make the world map a reality for them. There is a need to break the restrictions which are put on them due to poverty and lack of resources. He wants the governor and public to help these kids in achieving their dreams, as this will take them away from fog to azure sky. Poet is here saying, break, oh break, open till they break the town, and sow the children to green fields and make their word run azure on gold sands. Azure means the deep blue sky, and let their tongues run naked into books. The white and green leaves open. He wants kids to experience the sand and beauty of nature, as this will lead to a desire of gaining knowledge. They will then go through the white and green leaves. Here, white leaves depict books and green leaf depicts nature. This will then result in their progress, and they will be able to paint a bright future for themselves, and they will write their own history, whose language will be the sun. Means when they will be able to read, write, and they will be able to write their own language, their own work, they will be able to do something different, then they will be able to write their own history. There are some questions from fourth stanza. Why does the poet invoke governor, inspector, visitor? The governor, inspector, visitor are important, powerful persons in the modern times. Poet invokes them to help the miserable slum children. What functions are they expected to perform? They are expected to perform an important role in removing social injustice and class inequalities. They can bridge the gap between the two worlds, the beautiful world of the great and rich and the ugly world of the slum. What tempts them? All beautiful things like safe, sun, love tempts slum children of slum school. How can this map become their window? Two words exist. This map refers to the beautiful world of prosperity and well-being inhabited by the rich, great, and shaped and owned by them. Their window here refers to layers, holes, and hovels of dirty, stinging slums where the poor and unfortunate children of the slum live. The slum children will be able to peep through windows only when the difference between the two words is abridged. Third question, what have these windows done to their lives? These windows of dirty surroundings have cramped their lives, stunted their growth, and blocked their physical as well as mental development. They have shut them inside their filthy, dull, trapped holes like the underground caves. Fourth question, what do you understand by the catacombs? Catacombs means a long underground gallery with excavation in its sides from tombs. The name catacombs before 17th century was applied to the subterranean cemeteries near Rome. एक वो हॉलीवुड में मूवी भी है इसके बारे में, जहाँ पे कुछ मिस्र में जो पिरामिड्स हैं उनके नीचे कुछ खुदाई की जाती है और वहाँ पे कुछ कब्र निकलती हैं, ममीज़ निकलती हैं। तो स्पेशली फिल्म का नाम ही द ममी है। इफ़ यू हैव चांस प्लीज़ वॉच इट, देन you will be able to understand what is catacombs. Break open. What should they break? They should break all the barriers and obstacles that binds the children and confine them to ugly and dirty surroundings. Explain till they break the town, till they come out of the dirty surroundings and slum of the town and come out of the green fields and breathe in the open air. Where will their word extend up to then? Then their word will be extended to the gold sands and azure waves as well as to the green fields. Only if they are provided basic amenities and their rights and education. What other freedom should they enjoy? They should enjoy freedom of acquiring knowledge as well as freedom of expression. Let the pages of wisdom be open to them and let their tongues run freely from without any check or fear. Now, fourth stanza has been completed. Now we will start textual questions from your textbook, and before starting please subscribe this channel. Question number 1, tick the item which best answers the following. Means these are objective type questions. The tall girl with her head way down means the girl is, option 1 is ill and exhausted. The paper seeming boy with rat's eyes means the boy is thin, hungry and weak. The stunted unlucky hair of twisted bones means the boy has an inherited disability. His eyes live in a dream. A squirrel's game in the tree room other than this means the boy is full of hope, distracted from the lesson. The children's faces are compared to rootless weeds. This means they are wasters. Rootless weeds means wasters. इसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं खरपतवार, जिसके लिए खरपतवार नाशक दवाइयों का प्रयोग करते हैं. What do you think is the color of sour cream? And what do you think the poet has used this expression to describe the classroom walls? The color of sour cream is pale and dull. The poet used this expression to describe the classroom walls because the walls were not freshly painted. The walls of the classroom were dull and were not beautiful. The walls of the classroom are decorated with pictures of Shakespeare, buildings with domes, word maps, and beautiful valleys. How do these contrast with the word of these children? The various pictures on these walls are not similar to the word of these slum dwelling children because they have never got adequate facilities and education. They have always seen crime happening around them. That is why it is said in the poem that for these children Shakespeare is a wicked man. Not only this, their world is dirty slum area in which they live, which is continuously expanding. Hence, the word maps which never show slums and the beautiful valleys which is never seen and is out of reach of such children are in total contrast to what they see as their world. What does the poet want from the children of the slums and how can their lives be made to change? The poet wants the governor, inspector, visitor to visit the school. He wants them to see the plight of these kids and do something for their betterment. These kids should be provided with best amenities in order to make their life better. He wants these kids to visit beautiful places. which are granted by nature with its beauty. This will instill a hunger in them to study in order to make their life better. Now, this poem is finished. Next poem, I am working on it. It is also a very sweet poem. In this poem, this has become very long, 35 minutes, and I think you must have been bored by me, but I am sure on one thing: if you study this presentation carefully, you will be able to answer each and every question from this chapter that comes in the exam, final exam. So please pay attention and look at each question, and do not try to parrot this poem. This is a very good poem. So thank you, have a great day, and we will meet in the next poem.